Hey Utah fans, this is Jed Wonderly with the Utah Sports Report, and we are here with a super special guest. If you're any kind of a Utah fan, I know you recognize Mr. Kenneth Scott. He has graciously obliged me to be here as my special guest, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. He's been super busy, and we're going to talk about all that right after this.
For a first down. Nice there. That's the shot I'm talking about. There it is. Over the middle. It's caught. Touchdown. Devon Valet. That's beautiful, man.
I get Carlson a touch on the block. Carlson from deep, and we're tied.
A win. This is a victory lap of sorts for the super senior.
Ginormous double out.
All righty, Utah fans, we are back with a very special episode. We've got Mr. Kenneth Scott here from out of town. He came all the way up from, you're in Houston, right?
Yep,
Down
Houston.
Here. Came up from Houston, and he's here for homecoming weekend, and he's been a big part of it. He's always been a great part of the program, whether it was while he was playing, which he had a fantastic career, and I'm still wishing he was out on the field now because he'd be doing some good stuff. And he's also been, after his career, he's been a huge supporter of the U. So, Kenneth, tell us a little bit about what you've been doing. I've been watching your socials, and you have been busy. What have you been doing?
So, Thursday, I came in. We went straight to Little Caesars from the airport. We got a sponsorship with them to donate 70,000 coupons to everybody that was attending the game. So that's huge. The value is almost $250 million. $250,000 that they donated to us. So that was a great partnership between myself and Little Caesars and also our alumni association. So that was pretty awesome. And then later that night, I went to Songfest, which I got to judge the sororities and fraternities and their thing. I never witnessed that before, which was freaking amazing. I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And then they moved me over to the Black Alumni Association, where I got to meet with different individuals that, they created new positions like HBCU partnerships and different things like that. And, they're looking forward to me possibly joining their board members. And so that was pretty awesome.
That would be a good choice.
Yeah, for sure.
You should be on that for sure, no question.
Yeah, and so Thursday, that was Thursday. And Friday, man, what did we do Friday? It seems like every day is just something different.
Were you rehearsing with the band at all?
There we go.
Like that?
Yeah.
All righty, Utah fans. Well, my apologies for no audio after just a few minutes with Ken here. He had a lot of great stuff to say, but unfortunately, when I turned my wireless mic receiver on that's over the camera, initially it showed full battery strength. I do have lithium batteries in there, and apparently it takes a second or two for it to read the actual battery strength, which was basically next to none. So the audio cut out because the receiver for the wireless mics didn't have power from the battery. So my apologies to you guys and to Kenneth, who spent a little over an hour here with the interview and just talking afterwards. So we'll have to redo, well, not redo, but have another interview next time he's in town. He's a really good guy. Really appreciate him and his time. He's a great ambassador for the U, and one of the things that we talked about toward the end, I asked him about family up at the U, because if you're a fan of Utah football, you know that family's important, and it's not just something that they say because it sounds good or because maybe kids will commit because, hey, we talk about family. A lot of schools talk about family. And Ken, I've talked to a few other people too, but Kenneth really drove home. There was a couple of great stories that he told me. One was with Keith McGill. He talked about how Keith McGill was a 5-star recruit, and when he first got here, they were kind of, not just him and Keith, but the whole team and Keith were kind of separated a little bit. There wasn't a lot of camaraderie between them. And they did some special leadership conference, and Keith was a part of that. And they were doing some various activities. And one of the things that Kenneth said was that after some of these activities and such, and after they've been together for a little while as a team, Coach Scally asked them, "Hey, do you know the names of Keith McGill's daughter or daughters?" I can't remember if he had one or two, and I think it was daughters. But anyway, they all said no, and Morgan, Coach Scally asked, "How do we expect people to think we care for them? How do we expect to be a family if we don't even know his daughter's name or names?" So that apparently hit them all pretty hard, and they were like, absolutely. And so they started, getting a little bit more personal and interested and trying to break down barriers, and ultimately there was a good bond that they had. He also talked about how in fall camp that not only do they obviously do a lot of conditioning and working on plays and such, working on fundamentals and technique, but they also break up and go into these small rooms and just get really kind of vulnerable and talk to each other and really try to get to know each other at a personal level. Where did you come from? What did you do growing up? What was it like? What are your goals in life? What's your family like? All those kind of things. Just anything and everything's fair game. Just so that they can get to know each other at a deep level, like family does. And so Utah really is a family. It is not just a mantra. And I appreciate Kenneth for sharing those things with me. Relative to the game, he really he talked about how he loved seeing Jalen Dixon get the opportunities that he got. Touched the ball twice and got 2 touchdowns. He loved who didn't love that, and who didn't love Devon Vele's game. He had some great receptions. Of course, one of the things that Kenneth and I talked about was that one where he just fought to get into the end zone, and good for him. I loved the effort, and he certainly deserved it. He also talked about our defense and our offensive lines, both of those, maybe not having their best day, but he said he respects Whit a lot, as I think most of us do, and he thinks that Whit will get things corrected, and of course he loved what Clark Phillips III did, who didn't 3 interceptions. That's amazing. He was also named I think it was the Bronco Nagurski Player of the Week, cornerback of the week. So in all of the NCAA, hard to beat. If you're a cornerback, it's hard to beat the kind of game that he had. Now, if you watched Kenneth's and my interview that we did over Zoom in July, you may remember that he talked about Clark Phillips, and he said, enjoy this last year because it will be his last year. He'll be going to the NFL after this year. And I didn't doubt that at all. I agreed with him. I don't like that. Good for Clark. I'm happy for him. I want him to, go and pursue his NFL dreams, and I think he'll be great. But I don't like it from a Utah fan perspective, because I'd love to have him here one more year. He's amazing. And he's a great student of the game. Whit talked several times over this weekend, and he's talked about it a lot before, how he's a student of the game, how he watches more film than anybody. so that he can perfect his technique, so that he can know the tendencies and the plays and the routes of the upcoming opponents. And he's a great example and a great leader for the team. And so he talked, but one thing he said, in addition to, that he's gone after this year, in that interview over the summer, he said that they should just switch him to nickelback right now, because that's going to be his position in the NFL. And if you watch the game, and if you watched it closely, you'll see that he played some nickelback yesterday. And I'm not talking about the band, the position. He played nickelback a few times. I saw him line up there, and as soon as I saw him line up there, I'm like, there he is. Kenneth and I talked about that. That was pretty cool. But he can play anywhere right now. He's in size almost doesn't matter. He guarded Drake, I think his name is Drake London last year, USC's receiver, who had a good game still. But Clark did some good things in defense, and he didn't guard him he wasn't the corner solely responsible for him every play. So, Cam had a great game. Unfortunately, he was also most of our rushing attack. He's a great runner, but he kind of puts himself in harm's way a little bit. Thankfully, he does a fairly good job of eluding any huge hits. We need to, our run blocking needs to get a lot better soon, quickly. We've got a very good UCLA team. They debuted at number 18 in the top 25 polls. After going 5-0, starting the season 5-0, they are now ranked 18. Side note, kudos to Kansas, who also has started the season 5-0, and they debuted in the top 25 this week at number 19, right behind UCLA. So good for both of them. So if we can go down to UCLA, we are number 11. If we can go down to UCLA and play a number 18 team and beat them on their home turf, which is the Rose Bowl, that would be a great thing. It's not going to be an easy game. Dorian Thompson-Robinson is a fair bit more accurate than he was when we were playing him, and he's still a very good runner, and so he's got that dual threat, legit dual threat. Also, they've got a receiver named Bobo. Look out for him. He's 6'5", about 206, 210, somewhere in there. Very good receiver. He had 140-something odd yards in the game on Friday against Washington. So there's that. I can see Clark guarding him quite a bit, and we'll see how that all works out. One thing you'll note is that Mataele didn't play much, if any, in the game. He probably played a little bit. I'll have to check that when I rewatch the game. I was there at the stadium, watched it live, and so I probably missed some things. I know I missed some things. But so Clark played nickel, like I said. He also played a lot of corner. And when Clark played nickel, Zamiah Vaughn came in and played the other corner and did a really good job. Zamiah's fast, and while he could maybe stand to put on a few pounds, be a little bit bigger that way, he is, I think he's listed at 6'2", so he's got decent height for him for a cornerback. So, and he played quite well. He had a pass breakup, at least one that I know of. So I could also see Zamiah maybe covering Bobo a little bit as well. And Bobo's not their only good receiver. They've got a few good receivers, and then, of course, they've got Chardonnay, the running back, who's going to be tough to contain. So our defensive line needs to be a much improved defensive line on this coming Saturday than versus the way they played this past Saturday. Now, we did some good things. We did make some adjustments, and our rush defense was a fair bit improved in the second half. So that gives me some confidence. The fact that our offense didn't do was kind of stagnant for quite a while. And I mean, we had a lot of 3 and outs, not where our defense is forcing them, but where their defense is forcing them on us. And I was not happy with that, did not like it. But we did get in a rhythm kind of toward the end. In fact, my wife and I were talking about it when we were at the game. Kind of the turning point came when we got that interception. When R.J. Hubert got that interception, brought it all the way back to their 30. We had a short field, we scored a touchdown, and after that we were pretty much clicking. Our rush game still wasn't all that hot, but the offense overall was moving the ball. And then, of course, we ran out the clock at the end of the fourth quarter where we were, 3 yards from the goal line. So, you know how Witt is. He doesn't like to run up the score. We were already at 42-16. No reason to pile on and make it 49, although as a fan, who wouldn't have liked it? So there's that. But so I would definitely look for improvement on both lines. I think they're going to be coached pretty hard this week, and hopefully we see a much different product on the field with regard to that part of the game. The UCLA is going to be a tough game, and if we win that game, we're going to be able to get the prize of playing USC the following week. Even if we lose that game, we also get the consolation prize of playing USC the following week. So, fun stuff. October's a tough month for us, and if we can emerge unscathed, that would be fantastic. If we emerge with 1 loss, not the end of the world, probably the end of our CFP playoff hopes, but not the end of the world. Speaking of CFP playoff hopes, holy cow, Missouri gave Georgia all it could handle last night. Georgia won. They had to come from behind. They were down, I think, 10. I think they were down, I can't remember. They were down, whatever it was. And they ended up getting a touchdown in the last 3.5 minutes and winning 26-22 against Missouri, who's unranked at Missouri. So maybe there's some kinks in the armor there. Who knows? So there's that. I think every team in front of us will lose at least once, with perhaps the exception of Georgia and or Alabama, and probably Ohio State. Ohio State looks like a at least a fair bit better team than Michigan this year. Michigan hasn't beaten some of the teams that that you think they might beat very soundly. So it'll be interesting to see if Utah can climb all the way back up to the top 4 team. The Clemson took care of business this week against North Carolina State. I was kind of hoping North Carolina State would win that game, because I'm thinking there's still another game or two that they will lose or could lose. I'm not sure that anybody's going to beat Clemson, although Syracuse is looking fairly decent, so maybe Syracuse gets them at some point. Who knows? Who knows? So, as a side note, if you guys are interested in getting some great coverage, and really fun, interesting, great coverage on top 25 college football, I highly recommend Joe versus Joe. Joe versus Joe happens to be my daughter and son-in-law, but they do a great job of covering the top 25 college football, and doing a lot of fun stuff with it. And it's I think you need to check it out. I'm going to have the link in the description box below. But back to Utah, I think that it's going to be interesting on Saturday. I'm nervous, but I'm also hopeful, because all 4 of the interceptions that we got were because of skill and preparation. None of them were, oh, look at that tipped ball. Ooh, I happen to be in the area. I'm going to catch it. Or hey, it went through the wide receiver's hands, and I'm like right behind here guarding my man, and it came right to me. Oh, what a fluke. Whoa, good for me. So they were all four of them were great plays. You know, it was Clark defending his man to a T, running a better route than his man, all three of those interceptions. And it was RJ reading the quarterback's eyes and stepping in front of that ball, you know, coming from the other direction, because the receiver was coming this way. You know, the quarterback's over here and he's throwing it. And RJ just comes across and steps in front of it and then takes off up the sideline 70 yards. And if he hadn't just barely caught the toe of a guy, of an opposition, you know, of an opponent who was blocked, I can't remember who threw the block, but good for them, then he would have had a touchdown. But, you know, maybe he'll still get a chance to score a touchdown, but it was fun seeing the offense get back on track, thanks to RJ. So, again, I apologize he was up here. He did the thing with Little Caesars. He also spoke with President Randall, and there's a possibility that maybe something can work out where he can come and move back up here and be not just a part of our community, but working for the U, being a true ambassador. Not that he's not a true ambassador now, but I mean actually one where he's working for the U, and would be able to be up here, you know, in person for all the games. I'd love to see him up here, because he's a really great guy, and I think he adds a lot to the community. So apologize for that. Hope you guys enjoyed the game. Love to hear your guys' thoughts, as always, on our game that against a tough opponent. A lot of respect for Oregon State. You know, they did a very good job, and thankfully it was a little nerve-wracking there because it got a little close, 21-16, and then we took over with a couple of touchdown-saving interceptions that were very big plays for us. So go ahead and leave your thoughts on your favorite plays, your favorite players, what you thought of the game in general, whatever. Leave your thoughts down below on that, and we'll see you next time. See you here in a couple of days with my thoughts and you know, pre-game analysis of Utah versus UCLA. Meanwhile, check out Joe versus Joe. They'll be having their new top 25 episode later this week, but they've got plenty of episodes that you can watch. It's a fun show, and I think you'll enjoy it if you're a big top 20, you know, if you're a big college football fan. And that's it for now. Go Utes!